Meet me in Cambridge Common in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Stay tuned to learn all about this park. So Cambridge Common is a 16-acre park located just outside of Harvard Square, and it is perhaps the most famous green space in all of Cambridge. It dates back to the city's founding in 1631, and today it consists of a playing field, a playground, pathways, park benches, lawns, historic monuments. It's essentially a memorial park, and it's now designated a National Historic Landmark. And on a typical day, some 10,000 pedestrians and bicyclists pass through Cambridge Common. As I said, it dates back to the founding of the city of Cambridge in the 1600s. And at that time, Cambridge Common served as a civic center. And initially, the common was much larger than it is today, and was not enclosed. It extended, in fact, towards Porter Square all the way to Linian Street. And in the colonial period, Cambridge Common served as a pasture, and animals, of course, would graze on the common. It was also used in the colonial period as a military training ground, both for encampment and drill. And it is said that General George Washington took command of the Continental Army on the common. And this is a legend that it occurred under the famous Washington elm. Now, today, this tree no longer stands. It was taken down in the 1920s due to disease, but there is a plaque in the common commemorating Washington taking command of the army. And it's interesting that there's not a statue of Washington. Rather, there are three cannons that commemorate Washington and two other generals and an American flag. And there's a plaque with Washington found in bas relief on horseback in what appears to be a moment of command. So whether he took command of the army on the common under the tree is legend, not known to be true, and the tree itself no longer stands. But, one would think that this event might serve as center stage for the common as the most significant historical event that either occurred here or occurred nearby and had something to do with the place. But in fact, the central monument in Cambridge Common is the Civil War Memorial. It's found in the center of the common. It's a rather wonderful memorial. And on the top of it is found a soldier, and then covered, and in the middle of it, center stage, if you will, is Abraham Lincoln. So that's at the center of Cambridge Common, with pathways in multiple directions, all feeding into it. And it's sort of the focal point of the park. Two additional statues that are found, or monuments, in Cambridge Common are the Irish famine memorial that was put in place in 1997 along Garden Street and the pathway there. And I've never quite understood why it's in Cambridge Common. It sort of feels like it landed from another place. It seems out of place to me, to take nothing away from the events it memorializes. It's just a strange addition to Cambridge Common. And then on the opposite side of Cambridge Common, closer to where Waterhouse Street meets Massachusetts Avenue and the entrance to the common via a pathway on that side, is the statue known as the Puritan. It's a statue of the Puritan John Bridge, who I just can't seem to learn much about online. I'm not sure what to say about him, except that he lived in Cambridge and died in Cambridge, and dates from the Puritan era. I mean, on some level, it makes sense that he would be found in the Cambridge Common, as this space dates back to the beginning of the city of Cambridge. But So these are the main statues, if you will, memorials found in Cambridge Common. And in addition to the statue tree, there is a playground along Waterhouse Street, the KEMP playground for children, renovated in 2009. And like so many of the parks found in the city of Cambridge, there is a playground that's well renovated and well maintained, and KEMP is no exception. It's a great park that gets a lot of use from kids who live nearby. And it's next to a playing field that plays out along Garden Street in the corner near Waterhouse, which in season sees a number of ball games and gets quite a bit of use. And it's a magnet for activity in the Common. It's so interesting that the Common today strikes me more as a pass-through than a destination. And it's interesting to think back to the Common in its early days being, a center of civic life. And today, just as many people will have passed by it in their travels as perhaps pass through it or actually choose to go there. I mean, there's not much to do when you get there. Yes, people come to the playground. Yes, people come to play on the playing field. But, otherwise it's more of a pass through than a focal point that people gather or come to. And it's interesting. I've often thought that it would be interesting if the city introduced a cafe with outdoor seating in the Common to give people an opportunity or reason to come there. Once upon a time, I lived in Paris and lived near the Luxembourg Gardens, and there was a wonderful cafe in the Luxembourg Gardens that drew people, and then was an opportunity for people to spend time in the park. And, I've thought that it would be interesting if in the corner of the Common where there's ample space, there was a cafe with outdoor seating that was open in season, just so people had an excuse to come here and enjoy it. It's really a wonderful green space, sits on the doorstep of Harvard Square, and across Massachusetts Avenue is the Harvard Law School. So, it's just so surprising that more Canterburyans don't spend more time here. Obviously, if you take the time to visit Cambridge Common, I think you'll be enchanted by it. It's well maintained. Back in 2014, the city of Cambridge embarked on a $5 million renovation with replacing park benches and updating pathways, putting in new lighting, some 100+ new trees, and improving irrigation and turf surfaces. So, the Common's in really good shape and is well maintained. And again, it's a very special place. You do feel the sense of history in Cambridge Common. And mind you, you're on the doorstep of not only Harvard Square, but not far away, Harvard Yard. So, and Harvard Law School, as aforementioned. So Harvard is nearby, Harvard Square is nearby. And here we are in Cambridge Common with this history and open green spaces. It's just a very special place. So I hope that in your travels, you'll check it out. As for real estate adjacent to Cambridge Common, there is Waterhouse Street, where there are a handful of larger properties. And then Fallon Street meets Waterhouse Street, and there's a larger brick building, 50 Fallon. It's a condominium association with a certain number of units that have views looking out onto Cambridge Common, which is nice. And on occasion, every now and then, a unit will come up for sale at 50 Fallon overlooking the Common. My name is Charles Cherney. I'm a top residential real estate agent here to help you buy the right home or sell for the best price in Cambridge or neighboring Somerville. And I welcome the opportunity to share with you more information about Cambridge. And I hope that I can meet you one day in Cambridge Common. Take care.